Hello everybody, it's Ethan from History Theory, and today I'll be showing you the top 10 one-man army situations in history, based on a few factors like the duration of the stand and how many people were helped or killed, etc. And this is definitely my opinion, and you can feel free in the comments to say anything that you like. If you disagree, if you agree, you know what? Let's get into the video. Okay guys, number 10, the Human Torch. Mikhail Panikaka, I hope I'm saying that right, was a Russian soldier who was assigned to be a private to the 883rd Rifle Regiment of the 193rd Rifle Division. During the Battle of Stalingrad in September 28th, his regiment was attacked, shortly following on October the 2nd. Mikhail was helping to turn back the German forces from the area, but then they sent in their tanks to finish the job. Out of grenades, time, and the safety of the trench, he was forced to come out wielding 2 Molotov cocktails. As a bullet from the enemy ruptured one Molotov, setting the Russian on fire, he couldn't care less. He literally leapt onto the tank and threw his last cocktail onto the engine's deck, setting the tank ablaze. Astonished and scared to see an enemy Russian with such enthusiasm for death, whilst literally being on fire, the Germans thought twice and retreated their tanks. I'm pretty sure any of us would be like, Jesus, I need to get out too. Insane, dude. Number 9, James H. Howard, the Flying Aimbot. In January 1944, James H. Howard, an American World War II pilot, was flying in his P-51 Mustang over Nazi Germany, trying to defend his bomber squadron along with the other escorts. After the battle was over, James wasn't near his allies in the air, and found himself dangerously close to the terrifying airspace occupied by 30 to 40 Nazi German planes. Feeling either full of anger, rage, or slight insanity, James rocketed toward their formation and for a solid 30 minutes took down or severely damaged a total of 6 enemy planes, and only taken 1 bullet hole to the wing of his own. After this outrage feat of awesomeness, he continued to put the pressure on enemy aircrafts while having half of his guns out for the count and barely any fuel left. What a solid man that guy is. Oh my god. Guys, number 8, Dominic McCarthy of the Hearty. On August the 23rd, 1918, McCarthy pulled off what was described later as the most effective piece of individual fighting in the history of the AIF. East of Vermandovilliers, near Madame Wood, France, his battalion was being gunned down by many Germans. Understanding their situation, he acted fast and ran out of the way of fire and back into the enemy trench. With rage and power on this man's side for his fallen comrades, he killed 20 enemy soldiers, captured 50 of them, and secured 500 yards of pre-German soil. What a guy. Jesus Christ. Number 7, Jack G Hansen, the Manson. On June 7th, 1951, near Pocheon, Korea, Jack was a 1st platoon machine gunner during the Korean War. For a solid 3 hours, him and his men's position was being gunned down by enemy soldier fire. While the enemy used a cover of darkness to conceal themselves, they made their way towards the command post and weapons platoon of Jack and all of his comrades. When orders to move to key terrain, he decided to stand his ground and cover his brother's flank while they got away. Armed with only machete, machine gun, and pistol, Jack reportedly exhausted all of his ammo in both weapons before getting up close and personal to the enemy with his machete, taking down 22 enemy soldiers along with him for the safety of his men. Now this is someone you want as a friend, while he really died for all of those men. Like, that's insane to me. Like, Jesus. Guys, number 6, Faisal Dinh for the win. On March 2nd, 1945, in Burma, Naik Faisal Dinh was the commander of his specific section of his men during an attack on a Japanese bunker. During the attack, his men were cornered on 3 opposite bunkers geared towards their position. While receiving heavy machine gun fire and grenades, Faisal threw grenades to the nearest bunker and silenced it himself. Shortly after his men and him making their way to the second bunker, they were stopped by 6 Japanese men with 2 bearing swords. Making quick work of his men, Faisal came to their assistance and was stabbed in the chest doing so. Denying his own death, he tore it out and killed the man with it. His terrible wound still fresh, he killed the other opposing soldier. He then finished off the last of the Japanese soldiers who ambushed them. Like, what? After staggering to platoon headquarters 25 meters away, he fell and died after reaching the regimental aid post. Now, that is some dedication right there. Number 5, Herbert F Christian. Now, this has to be a myth or a legend, right? Just sit back and listen to this one. I mean, this is quite extraordinary, seriously. Herbert was a soldier serving as a private of the 15th Infantry Regiment and 3rd Infantry Division during World War II. On June 2nd and 3rd, 1944, Herbert and his men were ambushed by the enemy, sacrificing himself so his 12 brothers could escape, while fire from his 60 riflemen, 3 machine guns, and 3 tanks were geared on his position from 30 yards around him. His right leg was cut from the knee, and his leg almost useless. He charged at the men as fast as he could muster on the ground. Trailing blood, he took out 3 men straight off, and made it 20 more yards before being shot down by the aggravated opposition. Oh my god. This deserves the number 6 spot in my opinion, not for like the amount of kills, but for his dedication and bravery, while his whole right leg above the knee was gone. Just gone. Oh. Number 4, Dionne Way knows the way. In February of 197 AD, the Cao Cao invaded Wenqing, which was a territory of the warlord Zhang Zhu, who surrendered almost immediately actually. Cao Cao was happy about this and threw a party for Zhang Zhu and his men, which I guess makes sense? I don't know. Anyways, Zhang launched a surprise attack 10 days after and caught them off guard. Retreating back to their camp and protecting the entrance, Dionne Way and 12 of his men were severely outnumbered and held them off for as long as they could. With many battle wounds and all of his men dead, Dionne Way stood his ground against the enemy. With over 20 of them dead by his account, they rushed him from all angles and finally killed the beast of a man, Dionne Way, decapitating him after making sure he was really dead. How rude is that? Oh, goodness. Number 3, Ben El Salomon, the most dangerous dentist you'll ever know. An army dentist during the events of World War II on July 7th, 1944. He was tasked with being the surgeon for the 2nd Battalion of soldiers. The 105th Infantry Regiments were attacked by between 3,000 to 5,000 enemy Japanese soldiers. As about 30 wounded or dying soldiers retreated to Ben, the odds weren't looking too good or in their favor at all. Realizing their terrible predicament, he ordered the men to retreat back to the regimental aid station. Whilst doing so, he grabbed a rifle and rushed out of the tent to hold off 98 enemy soldiers before being shot down himself. Could you imagine playing Call of Duty against a man who has a real-life KDR of 98? That's utterly insane, which proves he should be at number 3, dude. 98 kills? And he's a dentist. It's not like he's trained to be killing this many men. It's insane. Number 2, one very angry Viking on Stamford Bridge. On a fateful day of September 25th, 1066, the Vikings and their army were sent in retreat across their Stamford Bridge by the English army opposition. The Englishmen about 15,000 men strong, while the Vikings sadly only about 9,000 men strong. With most of the Vikings' men being cut down or sent running back across that very bridge, this wasn't to be said about our angry giant Norse axeman. Wielding a Dane axe, this very moment was a start to all of his fun. This full-on unit was said to have mortally struck down at least 40 of their men single-handedly in one-on-one combat for over an hour on that bridge before an Englishman in a half-barrel floated under the bridge and impaled our very stubborn Viking in his junk. Luckily for him, he didn't technically die in vain, for the Vikings' fellow Norsemen were able to regroup against the Englishman army while he held them off, but only to be annihilated later. But I mean, come on. They didn't deserve this man, if you ask me. Seriously. What? Like, this man held off 40 of their men single-handedly, one-on-one combat. Just one-on-one. Just, oof, God. Number 1, one very large, strong Japanese boy. Saito Mo Benkei, a 6'7", tall Japanese warrior monk takes the cake with his awe-inspiring story. Serving under his master Minamoto no Yohitsune, who had been the first person to ever beat him in combat on his 1,000th duel to be exact. Fighting gallantly along his master in the Genpei War against the Terra clan, he began receiving many titles and awards from the emperor himself. This made his brother insanely jealous, who actually sent 500 trained samurai soldiers to Yohitsune's residence to kill him and his own brother Benkai. An overestimate for sure, or was it? While Yohitsune, God I hope I'm saying his name right, went inside his house to commit seppuku, the Japanese word for suicide, Benkei decided to put himself between 500 trained samurai and his master. As they charged him one after the other, he cut them down mercilessly, leaving him with a body count upwards of 300 men. 300 men. Understanding that they couldn't take him down, they decided to finally shoot a volley of arrows at him, which proceeded to his death and his master's. But dang, could you imagine taking down not 100, 200, but 300 trained samurais? Wow, that's crazy. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I had a crazy amount of fun making it, and I can't wait for the next one. If you enjoyed this video, big bunchies, please hit the thumbs up and click on the bell to get notifications on my next video. As well as follow me, check out my Twitch at Easy Victus, where I stream every day, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every single day. And everyone, if you want to comment, if you had anything to say about this, if you agree, disagree, tell me down in the comments. I'd love to talk about it, you know. It'd be awesome. And I'll catch you later, babies.